Kumar Natarajan, Chief Executive Officer of Mindtree, joins us live from Bangalore now. Mr. Natarajan, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into specifics, characterize the quarter gone by for Mindtree, because what you've reported for the quarter gone by is impressive and all-round growth.
Nikunj, it's a pleasure to be on the program. As you rightly said, quarter two has been a good quarter where we have had all-round growth. All the key segments which you focus on, retail consumer products, BFSI, travel and transportation, as well as high-tech, all the segments had good growth. What is also most heartening is that our retail and consumer products had almost close to a double-digit quarter-on-quarter growth for the second quarter in succession. And among service lines, clearly we have continued to maintain strong momentum on our infrastructure services, which has grown about 40% year-on-year and had the second consecutive quarter where we had a double-digit quarter-on-quarter growth. So overall, 5.4% quarter-on-quarter growth, which is on the back of a 4.1% quarter-on-quarter growth in Q1, we feel is a strong growth momentum. This has also been supported by very good volume growth, because volume growth at about 4.5% in quarter one, which is backed by a 5.7% volume growth in quarter two, has also been strong.
Mr. Natarajan, in the second quarter, the rupee tailwinds had a positive impact on your balance sheet, a good 450 basis points. We've now seen the rupee depreciating by nearly 3% in just the month of November alone. Do you expect the tailwinds to then continue?
See, what we anticipate is, again, to just articulate our policy on Forex. We never try calling out what the market is going to be on Forex. So we have a conservative hedging policy where on a 12 months rolling forward basis, we carve 50% of our receivables. So to that extent, I think we are fairly hedged with respect to either depreciation or appreciation of the rupee. Having said that, what we do believe is that unlike the time when the rupee underwent a very sharp depreciation, it's now probably going to be more range bound. To that extent, there's not going to be any tailwind because of rupee depreciation in the future.
When is the next wage hike due for Mindtree?
See, we already in the quarter two, we gave wage increases to about 75% of Mindtree minds. And the balance 25% of the people have already got their wage hikes from 1st of October. So pretty much I think we are through the cycle of wage revision for the entire financial year.
Keep the rupee dynamics aside, purely based on deal pipeline and the business environment, which way is your margin trajectory headed?
Again, there could be two sort of approaches on this, Nikunj. If you really see, I think we have created capacity because clearly we see the demand momentum being strong. So we are right now running at a utilization which is slightly lower than 70%, which is in anticipation of the demand. So for quarter three, there could be a marginal dip in margins because of the wage hike as well as capacity which we have created. But clearly, as the deal pipeline is strong and we are in the process of closing orders, the utilization should improve over the next 2 quarters, which will consequently have an impact on the margins in a positive manner.
With the currency depreciating, Mr. Natarajan, comes the fears of client asking to pass some of the gains or undercutting threat from smaller players. Do these issues worry you at all?
See, clearly we have really in the stage of normally many of our contracts are on a calendar year basis and we're already in the process of negotiations on statement of works as well as MSAs, which are in the process of renewal. And we are not getting any pressure from clients in terms of reducing with respect to the currency. Because with the transparency in terms of how we really run our business and the hedging policies being public, clients do understand it's not that all the depreciation flows into our bottom line. And they also see that there is a chance that the currency will appreciate, like probably from 68, it's really appreciated to the 61, 62 levels. So we are clearly not seeing that pressure. Also, in this business, I think a majority of the cost is the manpower cost. To the extent, I don't think by sort of passing on the currency depreciation margins to clients and quoting low prices, any business is sustainable. So clearly, we are seeing the pricing environment stable, not in a sense anybody using it as a means to make pricing lower and gain entry in business. Also, necessarily clients are looking for in terms of where is it that vendor has the expertise and they will be able to deliver predictable outcomes rather than just looking for the cheapest price.
Let's talk about the BFSI vertical. You are not a large player in the BFSI space, but for Indian IT companies, that is the basic bread and butter business. What is the course of action for your BFSI business?
I think that's an interesting question, Nikunj, because we were a late entrant. We are not present in what you could call the large spenders in BFSI. So clearly we have been putting in efforts on that, and in the last 1 or 2 years that sort of borne fruit. We are already with one of the top 5 spenders in the BFSI segment as one of the preferred vendors. And about a year back, we also got engaged with another vendor. So we are in one part of the segment where clearly we are starting to be more on a multi-sourcing mode where there are 2 or 3 other players. But that's an opportunity for us to grow the BFSI business. But clearly the big demand we see in BFSI is really the next tier of financial institutions which have not outsourced and which clearly need to deliver their IT services far more cost competitively. And they are coming into the market and they look at alternative like Mindtree to be far more a better alternative for them because we are able to give them the attention, really sort of work with them to make their outsourcing initiatives a success. So clearly in the BFSI segment, we focus on insurance, largely in the property casualty segment where clearly we are one amongst the leaders. We focus on mid-sized financial institutions. And as we have got entry into at least 2 of the large spenders in the top 10, we'll continue to grow our business there.
Give us a sense then, because as of the second quarter end, you had hedge covers totaling about $137 million. Would you at all look to change your hedging strategy?
No, clearly, even with the sort of volatility we've witnessed, our hedging policy remains the same, where at the end, every month we look at a fortnightly basis on our 12 months rolling receivables forward and hedge 50% of that. What we have seen in the last 2 to 3 years with a conservative hedging policy like this, it plays out whether the rupee appreciates or depreciates, and we certainly do not intend changing the hedging policy in the context of perceived weakness of the rupee.
If you have to quantify first half versus second half for Mindtree, how would you like to club up the business environment for H2? Will it be better than H1? If yes, why and how much?
Nikunj, I think this needs to be looked at in a context of what typically the industry demand pattern is also. Typically, quarter 3 tends to be a weak quarter for the industry because of the number of holidays, as well as that's the time when clients reach the end of their budget cycle, and consequently, there could be furloughs as well as things which they push on to the new budget year. So, in comparison, I think probably it may not be the right comparison of H1 to H2, but if you compare H2 of FY14 with H2 of FY13, we certainly believe H2 of FY14 will be better than H2 of FY13.
Final question, you have a cash balance of about 600 crore. Growth is making a comeback. Why are you still following a conservative dividend policy?
No, I think it's also a question of the confidence as well as clearly we are seeing the markets moving up. We are very confident of the investments we have made and growth is there. So clearly it's an articulated policy to start getting to more what you could call industry level averages on the dividend, and consequently you'll see us consistently sort of reaching industry level dividend payouts starting from this financial year itself.